Today, we're talking about something that has become more and more prevalent in our society: how people are easily defrauded by external beauty, wealth, glitz, and glam. We know the saying, don't judge a book by its cover, but let's be honest, we all still do it from time to time, which makes it easy for us to believe lies when they come from beautiful, rich, and influential people. A more recent example of this is Motsepe, better known as Thabo, a good-looking convicted rapist and murderer whose deception went to the extent of running a multi-million rand scam company from behind bars where he was serving a life sentence. Due to his ability to portray glitz, glam, and wealth, he was able to deceive many into believing that his fraudulent company, 21st Century Group, would be hosting Halle Berry and Taraji Henson in Sandton, South Africa for an International Women in Media conference. Bonang Motsepe was meant to MC this event but cancelled when the two American celebrities publicly distanced themselves from this scam event, which was selling tickets for 1,250. Fortunately, this event was cancelled. One that was not cancelled, however, was the launch of his 21st Century Media company. And if you're watching and thinking, 21st Century kind of sounds familiar, you're right. He picked this name intentionally. 21st Century Fox is an American media and entertainment company based in New York City. And Thabo, or Tom Motsepe, wanted to act as if his 21st Century Group / 21st Century Media was a subsidiary of 21st Century Fox. New York City is where our fraudster Tom Motsepe, aka Thabo, claimed to be live streaming from, while in reality he was in South Africa behind bars. Being in prison did not stop him from throwing a lavish, extravagant launch at the Hilton Hotel in Sandton. And the people in the room were people that can be said to have a good head on their shoulder, so why couldn't they see through the lies? It goes back to our lesson for today. Modern society looks up to those with external beauty, riches, and power, and somehow translates these superficial things into best interests. It's as if when someone shows up with money, costly possessions, influence, beauty, some knowledge, we want to switch off our brains. It's as if our brains literally switch off and we want to consume everything that comes out of their mouth as the gospel. We eliminate all possibilities of them lying to us, stealing from us, leading us astray, or defrauding us in any way. We are charmed, disarmed, and zombified. This was accurately portrayed in the movie Shah, where a drug addict was taken in by a con artist, cleaned up, her vocabulary polished, her manners and dress code immersed in class. Only then was she sent out to defraud rich men of their money and possessions. Just like we have convicted rapist and murderer Thabo, who cleaned up well, used the correct vocabulary, faked and posted classy images, drew up and shared an impressive personal profile, and used all of these to run a multi-million rand scam business while serving a life sentence. We have several people in our politics, TV shows, social media, down to our DMs who perform fraudulent activities on large, medium, and small scales. And while it may be easy for us to believe lies when they come from beautiful, rich, and influential people, it's important to remember that no individual is immune to deception or ulterior motives. We should always be critical of the information that we receive and evaluate it based on its merits rather than the status of the person delivering it. The following are examples of people who behaved as wolves in sheep's clothing. Starting off with Elizabeth Holmes, who raised $700 million from prominent investors for her company, Theranos. promising the world that by using a small amount of blood, they could run blood tests and detect medical conditions like cancer and high cholesterol. In addition to defrauding investors, she graced the covers of Fortune and Forbes, gave a TED Talk.
I believe the individual is the answer to the challenges of healthcare. But we can't engage the individual in changing outcomes unless individuals have access to the information they need to do so. The right to protect the health and well-being of every person, of those we love, is a basic human right. I just wanted to add, as we're talking about the future and from my own experience and looking at all the faces here, I think a huge part of the answer to your question is also to raise our little girls with the stereotype that they can be the best in engineering and science and math, because when they do in all of these industries, it changes everything. And we need to do that in this country, and we need to do that as parents in other countries.
And spoke on panels with Bill Clinton and Alibaba's Jack Ma before it was discovered that all her ideas and promises were false. She is currently serving 11 years in prison for her fraud. Next, we have Uebert Angel, who is loved and feared by many as a man of God. But he was caught in a scheme to use his diplomatic passport to smuggle gold from Zimbabwe.
We are the government.
Yeah. That's right.
I can call the president now, not tomorrow, now, and put him on speaker. It's not an issue. The president is trying to create a legacy right now. Yeah. So it is the right time to strike now. And go like we're in.
The deal to launder Mr. Stanley's money is safe.
Okay, let me just say, don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. This president will be president until he dies. That's what that's a lot.
I get you.
You want a gold? We can make the call right now, and it's done with the president of Miners Association right this minute. So it's later. Let's talk business. We want to just get gold. The other deals that we normally do with the people, like the one we did in Dubai, where they also want to invest in gold and buy gold. Maybe send a private jet, picks up gold every week.
That's perfect. No, that's okay. Let's do it, bro.
I think it's very good price. I think you should have said less 3%.
Definitely.
You should have said less 3%.
It was a mistake in the language.
Because that's the 1%, my 1%. You have just blown my 1%.
In addition to that, he was offering to launder $1.2 billion using the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe.
I'm not stupid. I have 2 degrees in finance. So I've done a lot, okay? I'm in the Forbes magazine. I've made the Forbes rich list of 2013.
Yes.
Yeah, Africa Forbes rich list.
Yeah.
And remember, I'm also a minister of the gospel.
Yeah. We will bring the capital, the cash. Basically, we want to invest the money.
Yeah. And what Mr. Stanley is saying is it's money that cannot be declared in the country of origin.
We've already discussed it. That we don't want to talk about.
But we have the blessing and it won't get us in trouble.
I did this, okay? This is what is happening. I told you. And we got that. Okay. This is going to be how much?
At the beginning, at least 1 million something.
1 billion.
Yeah.
Now, we have done maybe for 200 million, 300 million, but we have not done for 1 billion per se.
Angel and his assistant take Mr. Stanley aside.
What I'm doing, I'm the second largest diplomat in the country. Do you know I can carry him in a bag and nobody's allowed to touch it? I can carry him in a bag and nobody touches the bag. Right now, I can put him in a bag like this with 1.2 billion and put a red tape written diplomat. That's it.
Thirdly, we have Barack Obama, who is loved by millions. More bombs were dropped in his first year as president than in George Bush's entire presidency. Many innocent people lost their lives as collateral damage. He targeted Pakistan, Somalia, and Yemen with drones. The use of drones was said to help with the war against Al Qaeda, but secretly, his presidency was funding the very terrorist group Al Qaeda. Fourth, we have Shawn Mkhize, famously known as Mam Mkhize, a socialite, businesswoman, philanthropist, and television personality. She amassed a multi-million rand fortune from building low-cost government houses. She is envied and openly celebrated by the young and old. But what is not discussed in the open is how she is said to have submitted forged documents to obtain Construction Industry Development Board gradings, which were used to win government tenders worth 150 million rand. Finally, Jennifer Shah, who portrays herself as a wealthy and successful business person on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and was also celebrated for living a high life. It turned out that she convinced people that she had business opportunities for them, which ended up being fraudulent schemes motivated by greed to steal victims' money. She has since pleaded guilty to conspiracy criminal charges and is serving prison time for it. The list of beautiful, rich, and influential people who have and continue to defraud people is endless. Perhaps we are more inclined to believing these and other people like them because we don't want to believe that someone who has achieved so much could be lying or deceiving us. It's also worth noting that by virtue of them having this power, this influence, they have more access to platforms and resources that allow them to spread their message far and wide, so they can shape public opinions and influence how we think and feel about certain topics and, of course, about them. These people are considered role models for millions of people across the globe. Why? Because they become influential, they are good at talking, and they look presentable. Remember that just because someone is beautiful, rich, and influential doesn't mean that they have our best interests at heart. I'm Moagi, here to educate, encourage, and entertain. Please click the video on your screen for more.